If there is one weakness more powerful than beauty, more binding than desire, more intoxicating than passion, it is the hunger to be understood. Every woman believes she is different, not in the superficial sense, not merely different in taste or style, but different in depth. She believes her emotions are layered, misunderstood, misinterpreted by men who were too careless to look closely. And most men prove her right. They listen to respond, not to comprehend. They wait for their turn to speak. They search for an opportunity to impress, to advise, to correct. But the strategic man does something far more dangerous. He listens as if he is decoding a map. You must understand something about human nature. People do not fall in love with those who praise them. They fall in love with those who make them feel recognized. There is a silent frustration many women carry. They feel unseen, not because no one looks at them, they are looked at constantly. Not because no one hears them, they are spoken to daily. But because no one interprets them. And when a person feels interpreted, they feel intimate. Machiavelli understood that control begins with knowledge. A prince who understands the fears of his people rules without resistance. A man who understands the emotional language of a woman leads without force. When she speaks about her day, she is rarely speaking about events. She is revealing emotional patterns. If she complains about a friend, she is revealing insecurity or betrayal. If she criticizes a colleague, she is revealing comparison. If she talks about stress, she is revealing fear of inadequacy. The ordinary man hears words. The strategic man hears subtext. And when you respond to subtext instead of surface, something shifts. Imagine she says, "I just feel like no one really appreciates what I do." Most men respond with shallow reassurance. "Of course they do, you're amazing." That is noise, but the calculated man leans into the deeper wound. You don't want praise. You want to feel like your effort actually matters. Now pause. Do you see the difference? You have not complimented her. You have translated her. In that moment, her mind whispers, "He understands me." And once that sentence forms in her mind, attachment begins. Because understanding feels rare, scarcity creates value. If you want to build influence, do not try to be impressive. Try to be perceptive. Perception is seductive because it feels intimate. Women are often surrounded by men who chase their beauty, their attention, their approval. But almost no one pursues their emotional structure. When you identify her patterns gently, calmly, she feels exposed. Exposure creates vulnerability, and vulnerability creates bonding. But be careful. This is not about interrogating her. It is about observing without urgency. Notice how she reacts to praise. Notice what makes her defensive. Notice what stories she repeats. The stories people repeat are their emotional scars. If she repeatedly tells you about how she was betrayed, she fears betrayal again. If she emphasizes independence, she fears dependence. If she constantly mentions being strong, she fears appearing weak. Your task is not to fix these fears. Your task is to acknowledge them without judgment. When she feels you see her fear and do not flinch, she associates you with safety. And safety is more powerful than passion. Most men attempt to create attraction through excitement. The intelligent man creates attachment through emotional validation. There is a reason Machiavelli advised rulers to understand the desires of the people before attempting to govern them. Influence without understanding breeds rebellion. Influence with understanding breeds loyalty. Now consider this carefully. When she reveals something vulnerable, and you respond calmly, not shocked, not overly sympathetic, not dismissive, you communicate strength. You are not overwhelmed by her emotions. You can hold them. Women are drawn to men who can hold emotional weight without collapsing under it. This is not softness. This is controlled empathy. And controlled empathy is power. Do not overshare your own emotions too quickly. Do not compete for vulnerability. Let her speak more than you. Silence is a weapon when used correctly. When you allow pauses after she speaks, she fills them, and what she fills them with is truth. Most people rush to break silence because they are uncomfortable, but discomfort reveals authenticity. If you remain steady, she will go deeper, and the deeper she goes, the more she invests. Investment creates attachment. Here is where most men fail. They believe understanding means agreeing with everything. No, agreement is weak. Understanding does not require surrender. You can say, "I see why you feel that way," without validating destructive behavior. You are not there to become her echo. You are there to become her mirror. Mirrors do not flatter, they reflect. And reflection is powerful because it clarifies. When she feels emotionally clarified in your presence, she associates you with mental relief. Relief is addictive. People return to those who reduce their inner chaos. If you want total control, understand this principle deeply. The one who organizes another's emotions becomes central to their world. When she is confused, she seeks you. When she is stressed, she calls you. When she doubts herself, she looks at you. Not because you dominate her, but because you stabilize her. Stability breeds dependence. Dependence, when earned through emotional intelligence, feels voluntary. She believes she chooses you, but in truth, she is responding to psychological comfort you engineered through awareness. And awareness requires discipline. You must resist the urge to show off, resist the urge to correct her prematurely. Resist the urge to turn conversations back to yourself. Let her feel like the center, while you quietly become the axis. Machiavelli wrote that men are driven by their own interests above all. Women are no different. If you position yourself as the one who fulfills her deepest psychological interest, the desire to be understood, she will defend your presence in her life. Even when logic tells her otherwise, because logic is fragile, emotion is sovereign. And the woman who feels understood will tolerate flaws, forgive mistakes, overlook imperfections, not because she is blind, but because she believes you see her clearly. And being seen is the most intoxicating form of power there is. You have been lied to. You have been told that women crave excitement above all things, that they want adventure, danger, emotional fireworks, unpredictability. And yes, passion attracts. It creates the spark. It creates the story. But passion does not sustain attachment. Security does. And if you misunderstand this distinction, you will forever confuse temporary attraction with lasting influence. Listen closely. A woman may chase thrill in the beginning. She may flirt with chaos. She may even test instability. But when her emotions begin to attach, when she considers giving her loyalty, her vulnerability, her future, her instincts shift. Attraction is emotional. Commitment is strategic. Deep inside, beyond the words she speaks, beyond the images she presents, there exists a biological and psychological drive toward stability. Not boredom, not dullness, stability. Machiavelli understood something timeless. People do not follow the most entertaining leader. They follow the one who makes them feel secure. And security is not loud. It does not beg. It does not prove itself desperately. It stands firm. Most men fail because they confuse dominance with aggression. They believe raising their voice, showing jealousy, reacting emotionally proves strength. It proves instability, and instability creates doubt. If you are easily shaken by small things, a delayed text, a cancelled plan, another man's presence, you communicate that your emotional state depends on her behavior. That is weakness, because the moment your stability depends on her, she becomes the center. And power never belongs to the one orbiting. It belongs to the one who remains unmoved. Security begins with emotional regulation. When she tests you, and she will, she is not consciously seeking conflict. She is subconsciously measuring your foundation. She may withdraw attention briefly. She may challenge your opinions. She may act distant. The average man reacts with panic. He chases harder. He demands reassurance. He seeks validation. But the strategic man observes without fear. He does not overreact. He does not interrogate. He continues his path calmly, because he knows something she is trying to confirm. Is this man stable without me? If the answer is yes, attraction deepens. If the answer is no, respect declines. Women are drawn to emotional anchors. An anchor does not float with the waves. It holds position while the storm passes. When she experiences emotional turbulence, stress at work, conflict with friends, insecurity about herself, she does not need another wave. She needs ground. And if you are reactive, impulsive, overly dramatic, you become another storm. But if you remain composed, voice steady, posture relaxed, decisions measured, you become the environment where her emotions can settle. This is not about suppressing feelings, it is about mastering them. Machiavelli wrote that a prince must learn how not to be good when necessary, but he must always appear controlled. Control inspires confidence. Confidence inspires trust. Trust builds attachment. Security also expresses itself through decisiveness. Indecision is silent weakness. When you hesitate constantly where to go, what to choose, what you want, you communicate uncertainty about your own direction. And no one feels safe attaching to a man without direction. A woman may tolerate confusion briefly, but she will not anchor herself to it. When you make decisions calmly, without arrogance but without apology, you demonstrate internal clarity. You say, let's go here. You say, this works. You say, I'll handle it. Not loudly, not forcefully. Simply assured, certainty is calming, and calmness is magnetic. Another dimension of security is predictability in character, not in behavior. Do not misunderstand this. You must remain slightly mysterious in expression, but consistent in principles. If one day you are affectionate and the next day cold without reason, you create anxiety. Anxiety can create obsession temporarily, but it erodes long-term attachment. There is a difference between strategic mystery and emotional inconsistency. Emotional inconsistency signals instability. Strategic mystery signals depth. Security also requires boundaries. Many men believe that giving unlimited access proves devotion. It proves lack of standards. When you tolerate disrespect, cancel your plans easily, sacrifice your ambitions for attention, you communicate that your life revolves around her presence. That is fragile ground. A secure man has his own structure, goals, routines, priorities, and she is invited into it. She is not the structure itself. This is crucial. When she sees that your life continues smoothly with or without her, she feels two things simultaneously: relief and respect. Relief because she is not responsible for your happiness. Respect because you are not dependent on her approval. Dependency suffocates, stability attracts, and here lies the deeper truth most men never grasp. Security allows passion to grow safely. Without security, passion feels dangerous. With security, passion feels exciting but contained. Imagine a fire inside a stone fireplace. The fire is intense, but the structure holds it. Now imagine fire in an open field, uncontrolled, threatening. One warms, the other destroys, be the stone structure. Let your passion exist within discipline. When she senses that your emotions are strong but governed, she feels both excitement and safety. This combination is rare, and rarity is powerful. Financial security plays a role, but not in the shallow sense of wealth alone. It is not about luxury, it is about competence. Can you solve problems? Can you navigate difficulty without collapsing? When plans change, do you adapt calmly? Or do you blame, complain, panic? Competence is silent security. The man who handles obstacles without drama becomes reassuring, and reassurance builds attachment faster than flattery. Remember this clearly. Women may flirt with passion, they may chase intensity, but when they imagine long-term closeness, they ask themselves one silent question: can I feel safe here? Safe emotionally, safe socially, safe psychologically. If your presence reduces stress rather than increasing it, you gain influence. If she feels more stable after interacting with you, she begins to associate you with comfort. Comfort is not boring when it is paired with strength. It becomes addictive, because in a chaotic world, the rarest experience is peace. And the man who embodies peace without losing authority becomes irreplaceable. He does not need to control through fear. He controls through steadiness. He does not chase through desperation. He attracts through grounding. When you master yourself, you eliminate unpredictability in your reactions. And when your reactions are measured, she feels safe, revealing her deeper emotions. Security opens doors that passion alone cannot. It transforms attraction into reliance, and reliance into attachment. Because at the end of every emotional storm, when excitement fades and intensity cools, what remains is the search for ground strong enough to stand on, and the man who becomes that ground is the one who is chosen not for the moment, but for the position he holds in her psychological world. There is a dangerous truth about human nature that most men never dare to understand. Certainty comforts the mind, but uncertainty captivates it. If you reveal everything about yourself too quickly, you remove the space where imagination lives. And imagination is far more powerful than reality. A woman does not obsess over what she fully understands. She obsesses over what she cannot completely figure out. This is not manipulation. This is psychology. The human brain is wired to seek closure. When something feels unfinished, unexplained, slightly out of reach, the mind circles it again and again, searching for resolution. Machiavelli knew that predictability weakens authority. A ruler who reveals every intention loses leverage. A man who exposes every thought loses intrigue. Mystery is not silence alone. It is controlled revelation. Most men, when they feel attraction, rush to display themselves. They tell their entire life story. Their traumas, their ambitions, their insecurities, their dreams. They believe vulnerability instantly builds connection. But timing is power. If she learns everything in the first chapters, there is no reason to keep turning the pages. Understand this clearly. Mystery does not mean dishonesty. It means restraint. It means allowing discovery to unfold in layers. When she asks a question, answer it, but leave room for depth. Speak truthfully, but never exhaustively. If she says, "What are you thinking about?" the average man spills every detail. The strategic man smiles slightly and says, "Just something interesting. I'll tell you later." Now her mind activates. Later becomes anticipation. Anticipation becomes attention. Attention becomes emotional investment. When you are always available, always predictable, always transparent to the point of exhaustion, you remove tension. And tension is the birthplace of desire. You must learn the art of selective opacity, not coldness. Not distance, but dimension. Have interests she does not fully grasp. Have plans she is not immediately invited into. Have moments where you are unreachable, because your world does not revolve entirely around her presence. When she realizes that you have a life beyond her perception, her curiosity deepens. Curiosity is attraction's silent engine. Think about this carefully. Why are stories compelling? Because they unfold. If a storyteller revealed the ending in the first 5 minutes, the audience would disengage. Yet men reveal their ending constantly. They confess devotion too soon. They promise forever before earning attachment. They expose intensity before building mystery. And once everything is known, the mind relaxes. Relaxation reduces urgency. Urgency fuels obsession. Uncertainty also creates emotional spikes. When she is not entirely sure how you feel, she pays closer attention to your behavior. When she cannot predict your exact reaction, she becomes more alert to your tone. This heightened awareness strengthens emotional imprint. But here is the danger. Uncertainty must be measured. Too much creates anxiety. Too little creates boredom. Your goal is not confusion, it is intrigue. When you occasionally delay responding, not out of strategy alone, but because you are genuinely occupied, she wonders. When you remain calm in situations where others react strongly, she questions. When you do not chase validation, she notices. The absence of obvious need creates perceived value. Machiavelli wrote that men judge more by what they see than by what they touch. Appearance shapes belief. If you appear self-contained, internally occupied, not desperate for approval, she assumes depth. Depth creates fascination. The modern world has destroyed mystery. Everything is displayed, every thought posted, every feeling announced, every insecurity broadcasted. The man who speaks less in a world of noise becomes magnetic. Because silence suggests control, control suggests strength, strength invites attraction. Another powerful element of uncertainty lies in emotional pacing. Do not escalate affection too rapidly. Allow warmth to rise gradually. If you are overly intense immediately, you signal emotional impulsivity. Impulsivity weakens perceived stability. But if your affection unfolds naturally, unpredictably yet sincerely, she experiences pleasant surprise. Surprise strengthens memory. Memory strengthens attachment. Have you noticed how people remember unpredictable rewards more strongly than guaranteed ones? This is a psychological principle. When rewards are inconsistent yet meaningful, the brain releases more dopamine. If your attention feels earned rather than automatic, it carries weight. If your compliments are rare but precise, they echo longer. Mystery also requires discipline over your reactions. When she tests you, do not reveal irritation too quickly. When she seeks reassurance repeatedly, do not overcompensate. Calm unpredictability confuses in a productive way. She cannot place you into a simple category. You are not the overly emotional man. You are not the indifferent one. You exist somewhere intriguing in between. And what cannot be categorized easily becomes compelling. But never let mystery turn into manipulation. If she feels deceived, intrigue turns to distrust. The line is clear. Reveal truth slowly, never fabricate, never play childish games, simply avoid overexposure. Even your ambitions should be layered. Speak of them confidently, but do not explain every detail of your strategy. Let her discover new dimensions over time. Discovery renews attraction. When she realizes there is more to uncover, she remains engaged. The mind loves puzzles. And the more complex the puzzle, the longer it stays invested. Remember this deeply. Familiarity breeds comfort. But too much familiarity breeds indifference. Maintain small spaces in your personality that are not immediately accessible. Moments of solitude, projects she is not fully involved in, thoughts you do not always verbalize. This does not create distance. It creates depth, and depth is seductive. Machiavelli survived political chaos not because he was loud, but because he understood perception. He understood that power is strongest when partially concealed. If she can predict every move, she relaxes. If she can predict none, she withdraws. But if she can predict your values while being surprised by your dimensions, she leans in closer. Because now she feels she is discovering something rare, and people protect what feels rare. When you master mystery, you do not chase attention. You attract focus. You do not beg for interest. You stimulate curiosity. And curiosity is far more sustainable than initial excitement. Because excitement fades, but unanswered questions linger. And as long as there are questions about you she has not fully resolved, her mind returns again and again, attempting to understand the man who never revealed himself too easily, and never surrendered all his depth at once,